And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, the words of the Holy One, the true One, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one opens. I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan, who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you. Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth. I am coming soon. Hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown. The one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it, and I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. He who has ears, let him hear.
My tablet and Bible are sitting on my office desk. That's how much I can remember. Just too many sick people. I had a great illustration. The camera's not going to like the fact that I am down here. We keep talking about these cities, the churches that are in these cities. And today we're looking at Philadelphia. And these cities are surrounded, the church is surrounded by people who don't follow Jesus Christ. And I was going to use the Weber's table. Now, we can picture them as the Church of Philadelphia. Okay, you're the Church of Philadelphia. And every table around them is against them. So the idea is, this is what they're living in. Okay, these churches are living in, the church loves the Lord, and everyone else is basically saying, get out of here, we don't want you. We want to kill you. We take away businesses from you so you can't survive. So the constant pressure is coming all the time. So they reach out to share the love of Jesus, and the people come back at them saying, we'd rather if you be gone. And even where there's government officials saying, we need to get rid of these people. And as we keep going through each church, we're discovering there's always attacks on them. In Philadelphia, of course, there's the once again polytheistic happening, people worshiping much God. The major god in Philadelphia is the god of Dionysus, because Philadelphia is actually surrounded by volcanic mountains, and the ground is very fertile, and their mass production is grapes. And the god Dionysus is the god of wine. So basically there's a whole lot of debauchery going on because there's a lot of celebration with wine that gets excessive. And this is what they're living in. And this is the God that everyone wants to love and serve, because you can get drunk and it's okay because you're serving God, their God, Dionysus. And so this is one of the many things they're facing in this city of Philadelphia. And as they're going forward, it begins in Revelation 3, starting in verse 8. Jesus begins once again by describing himself. He gives himself a description to them, telling them, right to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, the Holy One, the true One, the one who has the key of David, who opens and no one will close, and closes, no one opens, says. And what's interesting is he's starting out with saying, I'm the Holy One, and I'm the true One. He's holy, he's righteous, and we have no idea where my tablet is. Oh, okay. That is fascinating. Unless I put it over there without knowing. That's not it. Okay. We will survive. I was not meant to have it today. Yeah, this doesn't happen with paper, huh? Don't lose your tablet, unless I kept it back by the sound. Um, so he starts with describing himself and saying, I'm the Holy One, the true one, that he is righteous, he is pure. And when he used the word true, there's actually two definitions for the word true. One is that true and a lie. But when he's talking about true, it means true and not fake. And this is the definition they're using in this case. Oh, I did use it by the sound machine. Oh, that's not. If you don't know, we had a lot of issues today with sound. We were scrambling like crazy this morning, dealing with the sound system, and said, okay, we can't really fix it at this point, so we'll just let God do the rest. And I was back there doing some dealing with it, and so. He tells them, I'm true. And then when the word true means it means true and not fake. And that's the definition they use here with the Greek that Jesus is using is real and not fake. And part of that being is because I am the real God. They're surrounded by fake gods, and he's introducing it here. I am the real God. And everything I say is true, and everything I'm going to do is going to happen. It's not fake, it's not a phony, it's the actual real deal. And this is how he's introducing himself to this church, describing himself. And at the end of it, actually I use the version what happened is I've been studying this verse and found a version I like where it ends with, who opens and no one closes, and closes and no one opens, says. I love the point, the definition says, and it's not in your copy. That so after Jesus described himself as being true, as holy, he says, I say this. And so what's going to be impacted by the rest of these verses is Jesus describes himself. Now remember, I'm holy. I'm true. You can trust everything I'm going to say. And he also describes himself as the key of David. And why does he say key of David? We can look at Isaiah 22:22. And I will place on his shoulder the key of the house of David. He shall open and none shall shut it. He shall shut and none shall open. He's referring to him, remember he's dealing with Jews, referring to himself to tell him, I have control and authority not only over the church, over the governments, over the world. You're still thinking the Messiah is coming. The Messiah is here, and I have the key of David, for I am that. I am the all authority. And the one who has all authority, who is holy, who is true, says to you now these things. That you can, with open and not shut, and shut and not open. And he's telling them, I know your works. Behold, I have set them before you, an open door no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. But he says, I know your works. It even goes back where Jesus told us with the fiery eyes, nothing gets past me. I know the works of my church. I know what's happening in my church. I see it, and I know what's going on here. And so you can trust what I'm going to say. And he's talking about opening doors and can't shut them and shut them not open. Well, what doors does he open? What doors is he opening? And with it, it's like, I open the door to your heart. I open the door to communion with you. I open the doors of salvation. I open the doors where we can walk together. And no one can shut them because I open them. And part of that for us is realizing Christians will say, I want to know God's will for my life. I want to know what I'm supposed to do. And Jesus is like, it's really not that difficult. You just walk with me and you'll see doors open. You just got to walk with me. And I was hearing a testimony this week. It was very interesting. And the guy giving it is an older guy. And he said, and he starts by saying, I spent a number of years of my life being an actor. And he said, and I traveled and I acted, and I made a somewhat of a living out of it, but I knew I was always on the road. And I couldn't keep living this way. And so this individual walked up to me one day after one of my performances and said, hey, could you teach me how to speak? I own this company. I want to learn better how to present my product so I could sell it. He was like, yeah, I can do that. And that became a whole business for him, where he taught salesmen or owners of businesses how to present and how to speak in a manner where people would buy their product. He said, I became very successful at that. I grew a business out of it. And I realized as I succeeded, he said that I was a Christian, and I said, well, I'll give 10% to the church, and then I can do what I want with the rest of it, because that's what I've been taught. He said, but what I started doing with the rest of it is I bought a bigger house. Then I bought a bigger house. Then I bought a bigger house. Then I bought a nicer car. And a nicer car, I gave 10% to God. And then I bought nicer vacations, went to nicer places. And said, one day, God just put on my heart, you can do better. He said, you know what, I can do better. And he said, he felt that this was a door that he opened for me to see. So he said, okay, I'll walk through it. And he said, so I gave my 10% to church, but then I started giving more to other places. And then I got into contact with more organizations and Christian organizations and all over the world, and I started just giving to them to help them do what they need to do to reach people for Jesus Christ. And I got to know them, and I'd go there. He said, but then it wasn't enough. I said, okay, I got to do more. He said, every January, I said, okay, of my business, I'm going to give this amount to God, just for anything he wants to use. And it was a big chunk of money. He said, matter of fact, I'm going to stop giving to my pension in my retirement. It just goes to ministries that doing the work of Jesus Christ. And he said, every January, Satan would say, you're going to lose your customers, you're going to lose your business, and you're going to be on a park bench at the end of the year. He goes, it scared me. And so I went to Jesus and said, I really want to do this, but I am scared, but you open this door, I'm going to walk through it, but I'm really scared. He said, I heard Jesus say to me, in December, if you're on a park bench, we'll talk then. So he just kept going forward. He goes, and every December rolled around, I wasn't on a park bench. And he said, and he just kept doing this and reaching more and more people. And then I got a diagnosis. I have cancer. He goes, I'm dying. He said, it's from asbestos. He says, where did I get asbestos from? All those theaters I acted in had asbestos in them. And now I have it. And it was in my right lung. He says, I've gone through chemotherapy, I've gone through radiation, I've gone through all this. It's now in my left lung too. I'm dying. He said, and I can't wait to get to heaven. He said, do you know why? He said, I was involved in a most tiny, incremental, just small, minuscule way. I was involved in reaching so many people for Christ. And I want to go to heaven and meet all those people who came to Christ through all those ministries where I played such almost an insignificant role in. He said, he opened his door that I decided to walk through, that no one could close. And I just kept giving to him. And I want to meet those people. I want to know how they were reached for Christ through all these ministries. And I look forward to that day. And he jokes about, I stopped giving to my pension. He said, I guess it was appropriate. He said, for it looks like I'm going home pretty soon with all the peace and all the joy you can imagine. He says, Jesus is going to open these doors that no one can close, but they're not easy doors to go through. There actually can be very difficult doors to go through. And he said, it depends if we're going to want to do it or not in this difficulty. And as I keep looking at these things, as he opens and closes the door, and he tells us, he's encouraging him, saying, no one can close something that I opened. I am true, I am holy, the key of David, I am all power, I am all authority, and I am righteous. And I will lead you in a path if you're ready to do it with me. And he's encouraging them and telling them to do this. And he tells them, I know your works. Before I set before you an open door that no one can be able to shut. I know you have but little power. Some people have, as I was reading this and studying this, were saying, some thought it was a little bit of a stab at them, like they had grace and mercy, but they're like 90% there, not 100% there. And Jesus is just encouraging them along. But this church, Jesus says nothing bad about. And so I didn't agree with that. And I looked at them as having, what part of it is saying, as I studied it more, is having little power and authority, meaning they were a small remnant in this city with no power to do anything except what Jesus gave them. And as they were sitting there, the church in Philadelphia, being harassed by the people all around them, they stayed true. They didn't give in to which we see in some of the other churches, they didn't involve with the debauchery, with the wine celebrations where everyone's drinking wine and stuff. They didn't get involved with that. They stayed true to Jesus. Even though they're being pressured, they stayed true to him. And Jesus saying, you had just a little power there, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. And after we see some of the churches, that must have been a real relief for Jesus. But isn't it a wonderful thing that being praised by Jesus, Jesus is praising them. And we so easily can quit when it doesn't go the way we think it's going to go or hope the way it will go. I mean, we have started the Teen Tuesdays here, this Teen Center, which is going to take a while to get traction and go. And it is so easy to quit. Now, we believe God opened this door. We're stepping through the door. But it's work to do it. And then people think it doesn't go as, well, it's not going as like we thought, or it's not going as well as we thought. You have to sit, you have to reevaluate. You're constantly trying to figure out. As a church planter, you're constantly, okay, God puts you on to do something, and you think, okay, since you've called me to do it, it's just going to roll out easily. And Jesus is like, well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I just said, here's the door, walk through it. And there's a lot of things that are going to happen along the way. And with it, people will quit too soon because it's not what they were hoping for or what they thought it was going to be. And Jesus is just telling me, you've shown great faith. I've opened the door. Just keep walking through it. Even though it's not what you think, what you hope for, what you think is the best way to happen, just keep walking with me. Don't quit. And I see this church, I'm thinking, what were they going through? What were they going through where he is saying this to them? Of, you've had a little power, but you don't deny me. You stay at it, stay at it. And I'm like, this was a church that was being beaten up. And they were staying true. And Jesus is encouraging them, stay on this road of keep trusting me. As a planter, when we planted our second church, the biker church, and Tom was leading it, I said, well, Tom, let me give you statistics. In your first year, you're going to lose your whole leadership team. That's a statistic. He's like, oh, no, not my people. We're all committed. We're into this. We're all gung-ho. I'm like, okay. A year later, Tom met with me and said, I lost my whole leadership team. I said, yeah. He's like, how did you know? I said, well, I don't know. I just know the statistics is I know people. They thought your church was going to take off from day one. You're doing this great, wonderful ministry. They didn't realize how they expected it to be easy and a piece of cake, and it wasn't. He goes, no, it wasn't anything we could have conceived of. I said, exactly. And when you come in with your preconceived ideas, you will quit quickly. You come in with God's, and Jesus said, okay, you just told me to go through a door. You have not told me what's going to happen, but you did open the door, and I know you opened the door, so I'm going to stay true to you. And that's some of the times that we have to be reminded of. And I think that's why Israel was in the desert the whole time, that they kept talking about coming out of Egypt, how God called them out of Egypt. I think he had to keep reminding them, says, remember where we came from. Remember, God is the one who told us to leave Egypt. As they're 40 years in the desert, things are not going the way they're thinking. They kept saying, remember what happened. Remember the plagues that God sent. Remember what he did. He called us to do this. And of course, the generation that came out, all but two, didn't get into the promised land because they would not remember, but Joshua did. became the next leader of Israel. And Caleb did, who became this incredible leader of his group. And it's like, they remembered, and they got the promised land. Of course, Joshua got the promised land, and what did he have to go to? Jericho, the most fortified city. Like, great, I'm now the leader, and boom, I got to go against this city that can't be beat. But he's like, but a God that can take me out of Egypt with those plagues, a God that can part a Red Sea, can deal with a wall. We just go not knowing what it's going to be like, but knowing that God's saying, no one can close a door I open. And a door I close, no one can open. And I think too many times Christians try to get ahead of God and say, okay, we're going to do that. God says you can do it, but I'm not there. You can try to do it out of your willpower, but I'm not there. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this over here. And we can only notice as we walk with Him, we're always looking for the bigger thing. God's like, I'm going to give you small doors, and if you walk through small doors, you're going to get a bigger door. But you have to be willing to walk with me and go through it. And as they go along, He tells them in Revelation 3:9, behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and not but lie. Behold, I'll make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you. And we've heard this before, of this going on. I believe it's Smyrna. This happened with basically Jews saying that they love Jesus, but also loving the world. And we could use the term they were Christian in name only, and where they say great things about God and Jesus, but yet still hug the world and walk with the world and worship things they shouldn't be worshiping. And Jesus calls them the synagogue of Satan, which is, man, a harsh word to move. And Jesus says, remember, I am true, and I take care of my people if they'll walk with me. And they will bow down. Now, they're not bowing down before the people. Remember, this is the church He's talking to. They're bowing down. They will bow down before Jesus Christ, remembering, seeing that He is Lord. He is with them. He is blessing them. They will see Jesus Christ through the church. That the arms and feet of Jesus, which we're supposed to be, they will see Jesus and bow down, saying, He loves them. Almost to the line of, I want what you got. And this is what will happen when those who keep walking through the doors, He opens, doing what He says, they will see Him and bow down to Him. Now remember, the Jews also think they're God's chosen and that the Messiah is going to come one day. Even today, they don't realize He's already come. And they will see, we're wrong, they're right. And Jesus has made Himself abundantly clear to them of who He is. In Revelation 3:10, because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that's coming on the whole world to try those who dwell on earth. Now, this is a fun one because people with this one love to go to this is the tribulation. If you're a pre-tribber, they read this as, this is Jesus talking about when He comes back, taking the elect up, and they won't face the tribulation. And I can see why they got that. You can read Daniel about this. You can see it in Matthew. You can see it in Jeremiah, where it seems like that's what it's dealing with. I don't think it is. I think to a degree it's idea of Jesus coming back. But I love how He starts it when He tells them, they're walking through doors, difficult things are happening, but they're staying true to Him. And what He says, because you kept my word about patient endurance. He's like, it's going to keep happening, but just keep being patient and endure. Keep waiting for you. Be patient and endure. They're emphasizing. And so when you keep the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world. And I looked at it and said, the hour of trial. I'm like, interesting phrase. Why do we think that's just at the end times? The hour of trial. Can we think of anything that affected the whole world before? World War I? World War II? How about COVID? That affected the whole world. Jesus says, as you walk with me, as you patiently endure, the idea that you will not have to go through these things because you understand I am the one in control. I am the one that have this. This is mine, that I can protect you. I just looked at COVID, and I remember people telling me that I I wanted to kill people because I met as a church. We came together and people went out, people left because, oh, you just want people to die. Well, I do want people to see Jesus Christ, but I'll let Jesus decide when that's going to be. But I saw a world that started listening to the government, even churches, instead of to Jesus Christ. That trial came to the world, and we watch Christians not listen to Jesus. And I'm like, why do we think the hour trial comes to? It's just the end time. Well, we're in the end times. It's like we've seen it, and we've seen Christians fold. They did not endure. They were not patient. They worked in fear, and we saw Christians responding in fear. And when that was happening, the whole time I saw it for what it was. I'm like, I see what this is. And I see how Satan's going to use it. And I see how Satan's going to mess people up. So at times we like to look at these things, well, it's just the end times. I'm like, the second coming. I'm like, nah, it's not just the second coming. When you learn to be patient, endure, I'll keep you from the hour trial that is coming on the world to those who dwell on the earth. And during that time of COVID, we saw the churches who also loved the Lord passionately and were not going to sway from Him, who stood with Him, not with the world. And I'm like, these things are going to happen in our life where things are going to come down and we're going to decide, who do we patiently endure with? And, of course, the whole comedy for us now is we learn the 6 feet of distance was a made-up number. That masks did nothing. And that there was something to natural immunity. No. Everything they told us and they were sure about, all of a sudden, when it's all over, it's a bunch of lies that they gave us during that time. What? To control people. And I'm like, that's the world. I remember during that time thinking, like, oh, is this how Satan's going to do it? Is this how it's going to be? Just scare people away from Jesus Christ and just bow down to the government and think they have the answers, not the Savior. Will we work out of fear of them or of the Lord? And so, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, Jesus saying, difficult times, all that should bring you back to me and nothing else. He tells them, hold fast. No, I'm coming soon. Hold fast what you have so no one may seize your crown. Hold fast to me so no one takes you away from me. It's so easy to quit, especially when we don't understand. So easy to lose our way when we don't understand. And she's like, just keep holding on. He's telling us, he's warning us, trouble's going to keep coming. But I'm the peace in all of it. The doors I open for you, keep walking through, for I am holy, I am true. In Revelation 3:12, the one who conquers, he uses that word again, the one who conquers, I'll make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it, and I will write on him the name of God, in the name of the city of my God, in the new Jerusalem, which comes down from God, out of heaven, with my own new name. This is another fun argument of the New Jerusalem, that there's a few different viewpoints. One, it's an actual place that will be on top of where Jerusalem was, because we know the original Jerusalem, we've messed that up pretty good. Did not keep it as God wanted it. Matter of fact, it only made it through 3 kings before it fell apart. And so some think it's a literal place. Some think it's not literal, it's an idea of it. The question is going to be for us with it is arguing over, is it a literal place? Is it an idea? And the funny part is you missed the whole point. The main point is Jesus comes back. That's the main point. He's coming back. And we're going to argue if it's a literal building. The thing I can't wrap my head around is Jesus comes back, right? And every eye can see him. We already know that. No eye can deny Jesus Christ. And then to see him again, we have to go to Jerusalem. I'm trying to figure that one out because I'm like, he's going to come this way that can't be denied. Then he's going to be in the New Jerusalem, and that's where you have to go. I'm like, I don't think we're quite understanding why he's coming back and what he's going to do. And so people argue about that, and they say, well, you'll be the temple. I'll write the name of my God, and the name of my city of my God, the New Jerusalem. And so if you want, because you can look at this in a funny way, is the New Jerusalem a literal place? The new temple, so we're going to be the new temple. So are we actually going to be beams in the new temple? Are we going to be the structure of the new temple? The structure is Jesus. And the new temple is those we have brought to the Lord, those who have become to be followers of Jesus Christ. The temple is the filling of those who serve Jesus Christ, love Jesus Christ, and call him Savior. That's it. Now, if he wants to make the literal temple, it's fine. I don't care. But the point is never the structure, it's the Savior. Because we know on the cross, the curtain was torn that made access to all to Jesus Christ. And it's like his thing was, you can come unto me. And the temple is we come to the Savior. That he is that which we worship and we love, and we come to him. And so the focus isn't on, is there a literal building? Is there Christ? And that is because of God, it is there. I'll write the name of my God in the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem. That this is the whole plan from the beginning. It's coming to fruition. His name is written, that verse where it says, in my own new name. And some people translate it two different ways, and some saying that this is the complete Jesus, the ascended Jesus is the new name. And some say it goes back to where he says he writes our name on a stone, which is earlier in Revelation in Pergamum. And there's a discussion about that. I love the idea. Jesus calling us by name that he decides. Because in heaven, he could say, hey, Jim, how many Jims are going to turn around? But he calls your name that he has decided on. Just to me, it's just glorious that he knows us that well. He names us and calls us and then calls us his own. How glorious that is. And Jesus is like, you don't need to worry about the New Jerusalem or the temple. It's me. I am holy. I am true. Just keep your eyes on me. Because I bring this all together. The beginning and the end, I bring together. I am here for you. And I know with it, it doesn't give us, this sermon does not give us the answers we want. No, tell me, Jim, that the New Jerusalem is going to be in Jerusalem, and it's going to be an actual temple, it's going to be actual this, and it could be, but I don't think it's the point. It's always bringing us to Jesus. It's always that he is it. He's the one. The church is his body. The church is, he is the bridegroom, we're the bride. It's worshiping him. I think because we make church a building, the church is the gathering of believers. And if we come to him, I'm like, how do you have a temple big enough for the gathering of believers? How do you possibly have a building unless it's heaven? That's the only place big enough to gather all the believers. And he tells us there's a new heaven and new earth. It's like the focus isn't the building or our structure. He's saying, I am holy, I am true, you can count on me. I am all authority. Keep walking through the doors I open for you that no one can shut. So people can come to know me. So when I do come back, there's be people who are saying, I know you, Lord, because your people showed me you. They loved me as you love. They cared as you care. They reached out as you reached out. And I get to be here because your church loved me. And so as we continue to go through Revelation, we'll look at more of these churches and the struggles they go through. How Jesus tells us at the end, once again encouraging us, you get to be with me. You get to be with the Father. You get to be with the Spirit. You conquer, you endure, you end up with me. And all that stuff will unfold. That guy said, and I think that's kind of neat, he says, when I get to heaven, I look forward to seeing all the people who came to Christ. And Christ saying, when that time comes, will there be a whole list of people you're looking forward to meeting because you kept doing my work? You're like, I know I haven't been able to meet them all. I just want to hear the stories of how you became real to them through us being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. We'll keep walking through the doors. We'll be the church in Philadelphia surrounded by people who keeps trying to discourage, and we'll stay encouraged, not denying his name, just keep walking forward, knowing that he's in control. And he ends it, as always, he who has ears, let him hear. He is God. He is holy. He is true. We can trust his word. And with a little power, so much can happen. As we patiently endure, we get to see his work unfold. Amen. We come to the table.